name's Linda, and welcome to Lilybugs Library. It has been a minute. I was trying to, or supposed to film this on Friday for Friday Reads. That didn't happen as I put in the comments online. I was switching medications, and the medication they gave me was very strong. And so I spent Friday kind of like a zombie. I was very dizzy and very sleepy, and you wouldn't have understood anything I said. So here we are on Monday. So I'm going to ramble for a few minutes, so feel free to skip ahead to where the book reviews come. But I just want to tell you a little bit about what's been going on. So after that kind of fiasco on Friday, I called my pharmacist, and she was lovely and lowered my dosage during the day from 150 down to 25, and then kept the 150 at night, which means it's early in the morning. So it means at this point, if I were to get up and move around the house, I'm still a little dizzy, but good enough to be able to film. So that's something. And we have a real heat wave today. It is going to feel like 39 degrees Celsius with the humidex, which for those of you in the US, that's 102 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, that's Texas hot. I mean, that is, or, here in Canada, I think we call it crazy hot or stinking hot, and I, for one, don't know what to do with that kind of weather, because I'm quite happy when it's like 80. So I think it's going to be a day spent inside with the air conditioning on until after supper, and then at that point I'm hoping I can venture out on my deck and enjoy some time out there. I've been using this app, and the app is not sponsored or anything, it's just an app I like. I've been using this app called Merlin, and you can turn it on to record, and it will record the bird songs in your area. Which I think is kind of neat, because then it shows you what bird it is, and it's really got me kind of interested in exploring all that. We have a bird in the morning. It's a excuse me, it's a song sparrow, and I live in the city, so he is the only bird I hear in the morning. He tends to wake me up, but go him, he's very he has a lot to say. So anyway, I like that. And then yesterday I was sitting out on my deck during the afternoon, and wonderful husband said, have you got the app going? And it's like, oh no. So I turned it on, and there was like 4 or 5 different types of birds singing. And so yeah, it's pretty neat. So, and it's free. I think that what they're doing is taking that information to be able to know what birds are around and what birds are in certain areas, and to see if anything is kind of maybe extinct or something that doesn't come to that area anymore. So it does make it so that it's free. So try it out. And again, it's not sponsored. I just really like it. So I had a great weekend. Went to our church picnic, and had a wonderful time there. The weather was perfect. Food was great. Company was good. I got to pet dogs. So, so it was great. So now on to the books. So it was a week of crazy kind of reading. I've got 3 DNFs, and then 3 books that I finished. So we'll start with the DNFs, only because I don't think that it's the books. I think it was me. So you may still love these books. So the first one I DNF'd about halfway through. So I actually was a fair ways into it, but it was, it confused me. And I think it's because I listened to it as an audiobook, and I think it's one that needs to be read. So it's called A Town with Half the Lights On. And the problem with it, from my point of view, was that it was told similar to like a Lady Whistledown sort of thing. It was told through like newsletters and emails and diary entries and school notes, and you're trying to piece all this together. And so there's a lot of different characters, and was hard for me to keep them all straight. So about halfway through, although I was enjoying the story part of it, I kind of gave up. So it's this young woman who is living with her I was going to say her mother, but I think it's her mother and father, I believe. And they've moved to a house that I believe her grandfather lived in, and her grandfather has passed away. And he left kind of a cryptic message that makes the girl think that there's treasure hidden somewhere. But he was also known for being a bit of a strange old man, so the adults are kind of dismissing all of that. So it's her writing back and forth to like her school friends, and her father writing to, you know, his sister, and the mother trying to write to the her sisters, and yeah, it's kind of a, it's a lot. So again, maybe you'll like it, but it's one that couldn't hold my attention to finish. The next one that I DNF'd was called Day of Secrets, and again, I think it's one that maybe would have been good, but I got cranky with the main character and I DNF'd that one. So it's about Chase, who has lived with his grandmother his whole life because his mother was a drug addict and disappeared when he was young, and he never knew his father. So there was a fire, and it was presumed that his mother was dead. But he ends up getting a call from this woman saying that she's his mother, and she needs him to come to this certain address. So he does do that, and when he gets there, she's alive, but she's been shot. I'm trying to think, shot, stabbed? No, I'm pretty sure she was shot. And the perpetrator is actually still there, and he ends up wrestling with him, but the guy gets away. And I'm not really giving anything away. That all happens in the first few minutes of the book. And then he goes on to try to figure out the mystery of what happened. And like I said, I'm sure it's probably very good, but he makes a couple of decisions that I just kind of threw up my hands and thought, like, no, I can't read this anymore. Like, it was very clear to me that he was making some stupid decisions. So I just thought, no, can't do it. So again, you may love it, but it was not for me. And then the last one that I DNF'd was called Murder Your Employer. And I really thought I would like it. I thought the premise of it was good. This man decides that his employer needs to go, and not for light reasons. Like, this guy is a real snake and just awful. Like, he's blackmailing his female employees after he's drugged them. He's if somebody says something he doesn't like, he gets, you know, stationed someplace, you know, in the Arctic. He's fudging numbers to make sure that he gets his way about things. He's awful. But anyway, he tries to kill his employer and he fails. And he ends up back in his hotel room, and these two cops show up, and he thinks, oh my goodness, like, I got caught doing this. Like, this is awful. And at this point, he thinks that he's killed his employer, so he also thinks he's going to be charged with murder. Well, the so-called cops get him to drink something that makes him very sleepy, and they take him out and put him in a car and blindfold him and take him away. And he ends up at this place that's, they call it the McMaster's Conservatory. And this is like Hogwarts, only for people who want to learn how to murder someone properly. And they teach lessons in how to do proper poison properly, and how to cook something into the food to make it so the guy dies, or, you know, weaponry or whatever. Like, any way that you could think of to kill someone, they'll teach that. So again, all sounds kind of interesting, but I really couldn't get behind it. And I just didn't care for it. So I ended up DNFing that one as well. But again, you know, not saying they're bad books, just saying they weren't for me. Now, what was for me was the ones that I did read. So I read Visions and Villainy, and it's the first of the Midlife is Magic books. And this one was good. It was about Addie Keene, who returns to her home of Whalesback Cove. And she's developed a new line of skincare products, and she's, you know, happily living her life. But she is psychic and keeps getting these visions, and she doesn't know what to do with them. She doesn't even know what they mean. She would get visions of someone that from when they were a kid and they were jealous of their sibling, or, just odd kind of visions. And she wants to tell the person because she knows that somehow it relates to their life. But she also doesn't want to be seen as a weirdo. So a lot of times she doesn't say anything. She does have a friend. Her name is Quinn, and she lives a little further away. And Quinn actually talks to ghosts. So it just gets a little more strange from there, because Addie decides to go to see a clairvoyant to find out about these visions. And in the midst of doing all this, the clairvoyant has a moment and kind of loses herself and talks to Addie about how she's going to be involved in murder. And so Addie kind of freaks out and she ends up leaving. And the next day, someone is killed, and the clairvoyant is being charged with the murder. And she swears that she didn't do it, and she reaches out to Addie for help. I don't know why, but she does. And so Addie calls her friend Quinn, and they start to investigate what really happened. And so it's cute. It's it's a solid kind of. I wouldn't call it a cozy. I really wouldn't. I don't know if they call it a cozy, but I didn't find it had the cozy vibes. But as a light paranormal, I thought it was good. It had all the elements that you want, and the mystery is solved well, and you get kind of a sense of Addie. I think more so in the following books you would, but in this first book, I thought it was quite well done. So I would give it a solid 3 out of 5. So the next one was one that was given to me by the author for an honest review. I don't believe it's an ARC. I think it's already out. But it's called it's a young A novel. Young A. Sorry, it is early. It's a YA novel, and it's written by Sean Brink, and it's called My Gypsy War Diary. Now I realize today people don't normally say gypsy, but it does take place in the 1970s. So it's about this young boy who he just doesn't fit in. His mother makes him wear bolo ties to school, and he's got ADHD, which in the 1970s they wouldn't even know what that was. So all the kids would see is that he was very hyper and distracted, and he just doesn't fit in. So he ends up befriending his neighbor, Mrs. Scholes, who lives alone. She's elderly. He's a hard worker, so he wants to help her in her garden, and he wants to shovel her walk and help her get groceries. And, he's a very sweet boy. And so she really takes to him, and they become friends, in his mind, best friends. And he and his family go to church, and so he's concerned about her because she's quite old. And how old she really is, I don't know. But, when you're 11, it's, or 12, it's anybody's quite old. But he believes she's quite old, and he's scared that she, she's not ready to die, that, like, she needs to go to church and be saved, and, that will help. And she wants nothing to do with that. So he starts to talk to her about it, and she puts a real stop to it. And it's because of her past and everything that's happened. And as the story goes on, that starts to come out, that she, lost her farm, and her son was killed. And it was just a lot of things that went on in her life. And a lot of it she attributes to this gypsy band. And she's very scared of them. And she, when something goes on or she feels like someone's watching, she feels that it's them. So I won't give away too much, but basically the things go on and start to happen, and the young man really has to step up to take care of his friend. And it was excellent. It was done really well. I don't always appreciate YA. There are sometimes I find them just a little too young for me to enjoy. But other times it's like, it's just amazing. And this was one of those. I really enjoyed it. A lot of pop culture references for the 70s and things. And it's actually told from the young boy's from the young boy when he's an adult, and he's actually writing all of this in his diary, which is why it's called My Gypsy War Diary. So I really liked it. I would give it a solid 4 out of 5. One thing I do not care for is the cover. I just think the cover's a little strange, and I feel like I mean, I get why the cover is the way it is. It's all about the evil eye and things like that, but I don't know. If the cover doesn't pull me in, and I think it would not necessarily pull a young adult in. But as for the story itself, I thought it was great. So really enjoyed that one. And then the next one that I read was from Louise Penny. And Louise Penny is always amazing, and this one was no exception. So this was given to me by a friend of mine, and she said, she gave me this and The Gray Wolf, and she said, you must read this one first. And I said, okay. So, because usually it doesn't make much of a difference with Louise Penny. Sorry, I've got a hair or something that's in my eye, and there we go. Okay. And so I did read this one. It was close to 400 pages, but not quite enough to get in there for Big Book Summer. So that one is The Gray Wolf. That one will be read next, and that one is over 400 pages. So anyway, nevertheless, A Beautiful Mystery was incredible. I really like to learn about, more about what goes on with Inspector Gamache and with Jean-Guy Bavot. And this was excellent. I mean, any Louise Penny mystery, you can really read it by itself and be perfectly content. But there is always an underlying element that continues on in each book. So the mystery in this one doesn't take place in Three Pines, which is where most of her mysteries take place. With this one, Jean-Guy and Inspector Gamache have to go to a monastery that's very secluded because one of the monks has been killed. And these are monks who do chants, and they've got like a recording out of these, I want to call them Gregorian chants, but I don't know if they're always called that or whether they just call them chants. But anyway, it's hidden deep in the wilderness of Quebec, and these are cloistered monks who don't talk to anybody. They don't even talk to each other. They have a vow of silence. And somehow, again, this monk has died. So I think I say a vow of silence, but I feel like maybe that's only for the outside world, because they do talk to each other. So anyway, I'm getting off track. Doesn't matter. So they get there, and of course it has to be one of the monks that is also the killer, because no one else is there. So they go in and they start asking questions, and the abbot tells the monks that like it's okay to answer their questions because they're not used to outside people, and they kind of resent having people come in. So they settle in to try to solve this mystery. And that part is fascinating. I learned a lot about monks. I learned a lot about chants. It was really good. But the other layer of the story involving the characters is the fact that Inspector Gamache and Jean-Guy have things going on in Jean-Guy's life that is becoming a problem. And I'm not going to go too far into it because I don't want to give too much away. But that part of the story is also very interesting. And the way that the two parts kind of come together, really good. So very, really held my attention. The mystery was excellent. Love the characters. And, every time I put one down, I'm excited to pick the next one up. The next one that I'm reading is The Gray Wolf, because that was the way I was told to read them. Read A Beautiful Mystery and then read The Gray Wolf, which was the next one that I was given. And so that one will count for Big Book Summer. It's around a little over 400 pages. I haven't started it yet. I'm hoping to start it soon, but I actually bought, I don't know what it's called really, a book stand, I guess. It's this thing that you sit on your lap and it holds the book open for you, and so that you can read and then you can just flip pages. Because my problem with the big books is I can't hold them. With the fibromyalgia, I find my wrists and my arms are quite weak at times, and so it's a lot for me to hold this book and turn the pages. And I also can't have it down just on my lap and do that, because then it involves back and neck muscles and it gets to be a whole thing. So anyway, I bought this thing that hopefully will help that. So that's it for what I read. That one was a 5-star for me. And so all in all, it was a good reading week. I had, again, kind of all over the place, but the ones that I finished were excellent. So this week is going to be a little hectic. Wonderful husband's on vacation, so we have just some day trips we're planning to do. Wonderful oldest grandson is coming for the weekend, and so we have things we're going to do with him, and he's 11, so that's I'll probably read some middle grade books this weekend. So kind of all over the place. One thing I've decided to start doing is I'm going to start coming up this week. There's going to be the Friday reads, but there is also going to be a second video that day with the book of the week. And that's going to be the book that I thought was the most incredible out of everything I read that week. So looking forward to doing that. I think sometimes that those really incredible books need their own review. So that's what I'm going to start doing. So I think I've told you everything I needed to tell you. So I hope you have a great day. I hope that it's really sunny and nice where you are. I don't know if I hope you have 102-degree weather, but whatever it is, I hope you enjoy it. All right, talk to you soon, friends. Bye-bye.